share a file, but you all, I looked at them, right? Okay.
I think those are the ones we got anyways. Hey Todd, we were talking about Tuesday.
Oh,
Let me see. Which would be March 2nd. Tony, Vicky, Todd, do you have anything? Because like I said,
well,
if
I
we need-
guess, I mean,
I did ask Ryan today to start.
yeah. So
Yeah.
that's where it's a little frustrating. There is plenty the board can talk about, but just talking doesn't really serve
No.
us. So the question becomes, of all these issues that are being listed out and that are waiting on the board's decision, what is it that you need to make that decision? If it's just time, then we'll sit and wait on time. If there's information, somebody needs to know what it is you need so we can begin collecting it. If you need to discuss what that is, then maybe that's something we do this Tuesday and we pick a couple of these projects. You know, again, as you mentioned to Ryan, we talked about Station 30. We said that we need to talk to him, but he hasn't come in. On the other hand, are you guys ready to act on that building? We've got a lot of other potential possibilities. So I guess it's up to the board in terms of what you are ready to act on or not act on.
Yeah, well, I know when we talked to Ryan today, he is working on getting rid of some of the stuff, because you know, it's not just the county that utilizes that, and he's gonna be.
And that's where he's gonna need some commissioner support for some of those items, or he's
Yeah,
gonna
he's
need
gonna get
commissioner
back to
direction that
us.
says don't.
I thought, many of the things we were talking about, we had to get estimates on what they were gonna cost. As soon as that was ready, we can make a decision
Yeah.
to do those. Other than that, I'd like to make a decision on about 5 of those right off the bat,
Mhm.
but we need.
So
More
what-
information.
So what are we talking about there? What,
You're talking about the parking lot, you're talking about.
oh, see, to me, those are already gone and doing.
Those are done. Which ones are you speaking
We're
about?
talking about like the airport.
So the airport's a huge issue in
And that
terms
is.
of doing or not doing.
And I guess,
Um,
just to
the
clarify,
sheriff's-
Todd,
Go ahead.
I
Yeah.
wanna talk about the airport. The airport, I would like to have you and Joanne on that task to start collecting the information. I know Joanne asked about getting an appraisal for the FBO and the hangars.
Mhm.
And I would like for you and Joanne to start working and maybe contacting some of the folks out there, including the staff that actually works for the airport, and getting the information that you feel that you would need to bring the recommendations to us, versus having me meet with 15 people, Vicky, Tony. I think it would be best if we charged you and Joanne, I don't know what that
Is
is.
somebody,
Yeah, Going, trying to collect
God's
the
angry or something, I don't know what's
I would
happening.
like to charge you and Joanne, now I know Joanne's not here, but I did talk briefly to her yesterday, that I think that that would be a better way of handling the airport. Now, that's a big chunk. So that being said, what else on that list is there stuff that you could assign to us?
You know,
To-
just about the airport for a second, I know John True talked to you
Yes.
about leverage was the first
Yes,
step.
yeah.
So I think that needs to
Yeah.
be looked into, how, he said, don't just jump in and take it over.
Right. I agree.
Exactly.
That's what
What,
I agree that.
What is that? I don't understand.
No, John True was talking about what we should do prior to saying we're gonna buy it. He was the president of it about 10 years ago, for
Yes, he
7
was.
years. So what I believe what Vicky's saying is that I'm still talking to people, you know, I appreciate that Sabrina's saying you guys. I still try to get my head around it, and I've looked at plats and I'm looking at deeds and just try to get the information.
So
That's it,
here's
this
where
is
your
fine.
staff is, we have no problem with that, but then,
What
so,
do you want, right?
so we're hearing wait then, don't do anything.
We need information.
I don't know what to do.
Information. I mean, when we talk about the airport, I've driven by the airport. I've talked to 4 people so far and spent about 10 hours so far
Mhm.
looking at it. It is, to make a decision about that airport is there's so much more things that I need answered
Mhm.
to be able to answer that. So if Sabrina's saying, you know, hey, Todd and Joanne, start looking at, to give us
To get
information.
the task.
I will continue to do my information about it, but I'm nowhere close to saying, hey, let's finish this deal. There are so many things to look at and to think about and to
So-
find out what we need.
And I hear that, I guess, it's a very confusing directive to
Yeah.
say gather the information, but we're not quite sure what we need, but we'll keep looking ourselves. I'm just putting it honestly where we're
Yeah,
at.
absolutely, she gave you about 4 or 5 things that,
Yeah,
what's the
FBO.
FBO, what's the value of that?
We have
And
bank
Joanne-
estimates
These
that
hangars.
you have in
You
hand.
know, and you and I spoke about the hangars, you know, first somebody said, hey, give the land to people, and then you said, and I totally agree with you, we're in the same position, not leasing hangars ourselves. You know,
Right.
I'm looking at the land, where do we have land to put hangars that we actually own? So that, I mean, so she gave you 4 or 5 things to look at.
So what are they? Go ahead. I wanna be, I
The
wanna.
FBO. Find out
We
what-
gotta know what we're doing.
Yeah, what.
And we can talk about this Tuesday if you wanna end the day, or we can talk about this now and we'll
So I
start
think
getting
this would
ready.
be a good work session Tuesday, to lay out exactly what we need to make these decisions, to get these things done. And
And we can
I,
assign tasks, but like you said, it was my understanding that staff thought it might be better for them to try to collect the information versus us talking to people that have special interests necessarily in it. Their conversations with you would be different than conversations with me.
It is, and that's where we're at the disadvantage of, we're trying to give the best recommendation for the county, but that's not necessarily the best recommendation for this entity or that entity. And then the second we speak, you guys are getting calls, well, they don't know what they're talking about, you need to do this, you need to do that. And so why am I spending my, I mean, I don't, you know, but why am I spending my time if nothing's gonna get listened to from what I'm saying?
yeah.
So I'm happy to gather you anything. We have a ton of information. I
I'd
mean,
like
we
to see it.
we have the bank on the FBO. We've sent an appraisal out. You just talked to Joanne yesterday. We have finances. We have a lot of information.
So maybe that's what you need to start bringing to us for us to discuss,
Well,
so
to
that
be,
we are all on the same page
so
and
again, what do you
understand.
want copied and brought each meeting? Because the commissioners have it. Everything I have, commissioners have a copy of, except for Tony.
So this has been going, from my understanding, about 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
Probably, you guys have been around a lot longer than I have in the county.
Yeah.
So it is, and we're spinning wheels, and people have told me, the commissioners are ready to sign it, and then poof, they're gone. And
And there's
that
all
is
kinds
very
of stories,
frustrating.
but, you know, we know how it goes.
And that's some of it, we gotta move away from the past and just say, what are we doing today?
Exactly. We
That's-
should move away from all of the past
Exactly.
and do what we
Just
need
move
to do.
forward.
But people have trouble doing it, which is where then the criticism.
I'm a newbie, so I know.
But then there's the thing, the rumor starts, or someone says something, then
So-
it keeps getting repeated, then all of a sudden it becomes gospel when there may not be any validity, so that's why,
So I'm hearing for March 2nd, maybe we talk about what you need.
Yep.
I will begin, Gene has a whole shared file. I'll find out, I mean, he has the 10-year-old, what do you call it?
oh, the plan, the airport studies for the state
Airport
of
study.
Ohio.
We've got a plan from 5 years ago from the Economic Development Crew showing us the impact. I mean, we've got more information than can possibly be digested. And so again, the question is, what specifically then do you guys want in front of you to start? And then from there, that may trigger more information, but I can flood you with
Flood me, please.
500 documents. I mean,
Okay, so
we've got a lot
let's
of
make
it.
this very simple, Todd.
Mhm.
For Tuesday, let's talk about some of the things, the information that we do have. We can talk about the 10-year study. Now, I can tell you and sum up the 10-year study for their view on Portage County. It was being very underutilized for its potential.
Is that the economic study?
Yes, but it was done on all the airports, because we got that from Senator Eklund's office, we get it from the state. And then we had a proposal to purchase the FBO from before. We also were able to get an appraisal on that, but that appraisal was from 2016.
It's
So
the
it
bank's
gave us-
evaluation,
It gave
yeah.
us a base,
Right.
but then that's what I sent to Joanne and said, hey, we need to get our own appraisal.
And that's not ready yet. but
And
we are
that's
getting
not
there.
ready yet,
Mhm.
okay? And then what other information do you have that you think?
I mean, we have their annual financial reports that they brought to you each
Okay.
year. If you want to see those, we have Dick
Last
Bonner.
3 years, please.
Dick Bonner sent his, I guess he called it a prospectus of what
Yeah.
his costs and operations are. I mean, we've got the parcels of what is actually in the airport board's name versus what's in the county's name. Again, that it shouldn't be viewed as two separate things, it's all,
It's all
that,
one.
that whole area on Infirmary Road is yours except for the golf course, which is to the south side, and then on the north, east portion, then starts getting some private ownership. But otherwise, from the nursing home all the way up to the Justice Center is county land in there.
Is there a plat that we could all just put on the table and look at?
I've got a map with the parcels broken
Okay,
out,
yeah.
if you'd like to see
Yeah,
it.
that would be great to see Tuesday. What other project besides the airport?
So what, well, the sheriff and what you're doing both with his operations, his pay structure and his cars is another huge deal. If we did everything that's been hinted at, I mean, we're talking over $1 million. That needs sorted out here because a lot of that, the talk has been of doing it this year, which is a very big deal. So that needs sorted out. You have Riddle and the communications on it. To me, Riddle, Station 30, the motor pool, and the old nursing home, the record center, should all be discussed as a package of which of those buildings, if any, do you want to keep? And again, as Joanne indicated, you know, money needs to go into them if we're going to keep them for the current uses that we're doing. Or is there a possibility to move away from them? That discussion always flounders at this point, and has for the last 2 years, particularly in terms of the record center. So we're trying to make some headway on that, but it's, again, there's just support that the commissioners need to say, yes, we want to keep pursuing this, we want to keep pursuing this.
And I think we've already given you directions on the Pretty Glen Dam, or the Hills Pond Dam.
And that has its own money, so that's an easy one.
Okay, so that one's done,
Right.
we know the parking lot's gonna get done, because Joanne's working on that.
Yeah, those projects that we talked about from 2 weeks ago, those are proceeding, those aren't our questions.
Who wants to buy the Riddle building? Is that what I read?
Oh, we
Did I
can't
get-
say that.
Okay. Is,
There's, you,
In the
There's some-
interest.
yeah,
so the key to the county is we have an opportunity to possibly purchase a building, at which point we could move our staff out of Riddle. At that point, the county would have the option of putting it up for sale,
okay.
and we would progress with that procedure.
Do we have a potential buyer for that, you think?
Oddly enough,
Because I
we
heard-
do.
that's what I
Although,
thought.
although,
Like
again,
a trading places.
well, and you have to understand, you aren't going to get a lot, and if you want cash, you're going to have to wait years. I'll make that clear to you.
So I'd like to, because I don't know, what year we purchased the Riddle building, how much we purchased it for?
2010-ish, we purchased it for almost $3 million, although to be honest, how much of that was purchase and how much of that was some remodeling that went in with it as well, but the debt itself was, I think, just a little over $2,600,000
Just tell her to leave, does she have to see me?
on that building,
If she
which was,
doesn't leave
which
and
was,
stuff, I'll call her.
at the time, I'll be honest, at the time, we knew we paid more than it was worth. That wasn't, the purpose wasn't to get value, the purpose was to aid the city of Ravenna in a dilemma.
Okay.
Mhm. Okay, so what do you wanna talk about on Tuesday?
So, well, the airport would be huge,
Okay.
and then I know the sheriff has his meeting tonight, and that's another conversation that needs to happen again soon if we're spending the money. If we're not spending the money, then we don't ever